Today I wanted to come on and talk about a Bible that I recently traded for. This is the Schuyler ESV Quentel in the Tuscany leather. And I was really curious about this leather. I do have two other Bibles in this Quentel layout, so I knew what to expect there, but I was really interested to see this cover, and I also have been really enjoying using the ESV translation lately, so I thought it'd be a good investment to pick up a Quentel in that translation because I didn't have that as of yet. So this cover is very attractive. You can see it feels kind of smooth, but not totally. It's really hard to describe how it feels. It's a thicker leather, which is nice for this bigger text block. So it's not super duper floppy, a little bit, but it's not super floppy. I just really like the way it feels, and I can already see that just from using it for a little while here, it's already starting to change a little bit. So I think it will patina and look really nice over time with continued use. So I'm really excited to see that. You can see there's some lines and different variations in the leather, and it's just a very attractive looking Bible. It almost looks like the British tan color, but it's different than that. It's real, like I said, it's really hard to describe and I don't know if the camera is doing it justice, but it's a really nice cover, and I like the blind stamping on the spine. We have Holy Bible, English Standard Version, and then Schuyler with the little Jerusalem cross symbol here. We get that, of course, on the front as well. We're going to have perimeter stitching. This one has 3 ribbons. They're in kind of a golden brown-ish color. And then we're going to have red under gold art gilding. And then we're going to get the presentation page, which is on a cardstock. We're also going to have space for marriages, births and deaths. And then we get into our title pages here. Table of contents. And the books of the Bible in alphabetical order, a preface. This is an explanation of features that are included in this edition, talking about things like the types of cross-references and the section headings, the textual footnotes, maps, etc. And then we're going to get into the Old Testament. So if you're not familiar with the Schuyler Quentel layout, this is an 11-point font, very readable. We have our chapter numbers in red. We have our references at the bottom of the pages, and a little, of course, in a smaller font than the biblical text. And it's just very easy to read. 28 GSM paper, which I know some people think that's too thin. I personally haven't found an issue with it. Now, I'm not super rough, like turning my pages and handling my Bibles, so maybe that's a part of it. And I also don't write in my Schuyler Bibles. Not saying there's anything wrong with doing that. It's just a personal preference. I haven't done that. So I can't speak to any of that, but for me, it hasn't been an issue. The Quentel layout is available in NASB, 95, ESV, CSB, NIV, and NKJV. I think I got all the translations. There's also a Canterbury, which is the KJV, and I think is similar to this as well, but it has drop caps. And then the NLT and RSV Quentels, they're in 10-point font, so just slightly smaller than this. But the Quentel layout's really nice for reading. It does make for a bit of a heavier Bible, being that it's 11-point font, but I've been taking this to Bible study and church, and I don't have an issue carrying it. It's not like super heavy that I can't hold it up like a study Bible or anything like that. So I have a case that I keep it in when I take it out, and I've had no issues. All right, so then if we go into the New Testament here, we're going to see that this one is black letter. So I like that as well. I believe for the Quentel series, the New King James Version is red letter and everything else is black letter. possibly KJV too, although that's called the Canterbury. I think that might be red letter as well. I could be wrong on that, but in my experience with Schuyler Bibles, that's what I found. All right, and let's skip back to the end here. So as you can see here, after Revelation, that was the concordance, which we'll get to in just a second. There is a table of weights and measures. There is abbreviations, and then we get into our concordance. The concordance is, if you're familiar with Schuyler Bibles, you probably already know this, super small font. And now that's, I'm sure, too, to conserve space, since it's a pretty long concordance, so it doesn't make the Bible even more thick than it already is. But just something to be aware of there. And then we're going to have Bible maps. So you can see the index for those here. There are 12 different maps. These are on cardstock. It's a cool chart here of Israel's united and divided kingdoms. It's a little different than what we usually see. And I can't turn pages today. I tend to do that in videos for some reason. I think because I'm trying to do it with one hand, it sometimes doesn't work out as I intend, but there we go. There's an index to the maps. And then we are at the end of the Bible. A couple pages of cardstock here at the end. So what do I like about this? I know a lot of you have probably maybe already are familiar with that Quentel layout, so you mostly came to see the cover, so I do want to make sure that I show that here on camera. I really like the feeling of the cover. I'm sorry I'm not very descriptive. It's really hard to describe. Mostly I like the thickness of it. I like that it's going to patina over time. So I think that's really cool. The color's nice. It's kind of an orangey brown. Like I said, similar a little bit. The closest one I can compare it to is the British tan, but it's not exactly like that. So sorry for my vague descriptions. Hopefully you can see it nicely on camera. Of course, I like the ESV translation. I like the size of the font in this one, so it's nice for me to read for extended periods of time. Easy for me to take to church or Bible study, where especially in church, sometimes the lighting might not be the greatest, and I can see it because the font is larger. So I like that about this one as well. I've seen several Schuyler Bible covers, so if I had to pick my favorite, it's hard because they're all different in their own unique way, and I haven't had this one for super long yet, but so far, I think this one is a top contender for being my favorite. Now, I'll come back after I've had it for a while and give an update if my feelings change, or even if they stay the same, I'll come back and do an update. Right now, this is a top contender for me. I also really like the Black Pearl, although the goat skin's really nice too. Like, they're all unique and nice in their own way. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably be looking at this one, with the Black Pearl being in second place at this point. So I'll come back and update that if that changes. But at the moment, that's where my feelings are. So again, this is a ESV Quentel from Schuyler Bibles. You can get them online from evangelicalbible.com. And this is the Tuscany leather, which is really nice. And I can't wait to use this Bible and see how the cover changes over time.